Welcome back to Seize the Gap Fantasy Football. I'm Jamie G. I'm here with Magnum Mills to help you seize the gap and stop being so inefficient. I'm sure that Mike Ehrmantraut was a big NFL fan because they don't half-ass anything. Well, neither do we. We got everything you could want when it comes to the Sunday and Monday night football games for week 2 of the 2025 NFL season. We got fantasy advice. We got Draftkings picks and some of our favorite bets to boot. And both because they're the best and I'm superstitious. So go Bills.
Wait, did you ever get into a fight at an Eagles game?
Of course.
Oh, yeah, of course. Yeah. Have you? Oh, are you kidding? When have I not? Okay, that's what it is then. All right, go Birds. Go Birds. Yeah, go Birds. I like her.
Go Birds. I mean, that's fair enough. Go your favorite team unless you are playing our favorite team, or it'll cost us money. Other than that, go insert your favorite team here. Thank you for inserting this episode of Seize the Gap Fantasy Football into your life. We really appreciate it. You can find our content wherever you get your pods and on YouTube. Find us on social media at Seize the Gap FF, on the web at seizethegapff.com. And while you're at it, please don't forget the flaps. FLAPS, follow, like, and please subscribe. If you had fun, please press a thumb. You should know while we are not affiliated with the Draftkings Sportsbook, we are getting our odds and wagers from the DK Sportsbook. Everything is accurate as of September 12th, 2025. Look out, fool, because it's Friday.
Yeah, man. And to close out the week 2, NFL is busting out the old Monday night doubleheader, which means we've got 3 games on the menu for this episode. Mills, go ahead and hit us with the tail of the tape.
Yeah, I hope you got those Falcons bets in early because they are now down to a 3.5-point road dog, plus 145 on the money line, traveling to Minnesota on Sunday night to face the Vikings. Vikings are 3.5-point home favorites, minus 175 on the money line. Game total is 44.5 points. In the early game on Monday Night Football, this one kicks off at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We have the Tampa Bay Bucks as a 2.5-point road dog, plus 114 on the money line, traveling to Houston. Houston is 2.5-point home favorites, and they are minus 135 on the money line. Game total is 42.5 points. And the Monday Night Nightcapper, the late game kicks off at 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. The Los Angeles Chargers are 3.5-point favorites, minus 185 on the money line, traveling to Vegas to play the Raiders. Plus 3.5 home dogs. The Raiders are minus 154 on the money line. Game total is 46.5 points. Just a touch more juice if you're going to the over than the under. Looks like both Drake London and Darnell Mooney, the wide receivers, are back in play for the Falcons. And it looks like tight end Brock Bowers will miss the game for the Raiders. So that could be a big loss there. Jamie G, what do you think? Let's start with the Bowers injury, man. Does that change the calculus a lot for that Monday night nightcapper for you? I think we were both kind of leaning Chargers before any of this. Does that kind of solidify the lean for you?
It does. It really does because I mean we saw how Brock Bowers can take over a game. He can make plays when they need it. He's such a go-to for them. They just lack explosiveness on this offense. I will say from a prop standpoint, when they release it, really look into Jacoby Myers. He could be a player here. But I was already on already on the Chargers side of the house here, so I think this pushes me there even more.
Yeah, I don't think there's really any way that you can kind of get away from having to lean on the other guys here. I mean, maybe it's a breakout game for Janty. Maybe it's not. Myers probably going to have a monster. They're probably going to get, Trey Tucker and Thornton a couple of shots. Michael Mayer could be an interesting streamer possibly in your fantasy leagues.
Yeah.
Do you think we get the big Ashton Janty breakout game here? Or do you think the Chargers D kind of locks it down similar to what we saw against the Chiefs?
It's coming, but I don't think it's this week. And for a lot of married men out there, we hear it sometimes. We hear that in our households. But all jokes aside, I don't think it's this week. And it's because what the Chargers have on defense. I just think they're a better defense than what they're given credit for. And I think they're going to match up pretty well here against this front for the Raiders. And I just don't see it happening this week. I just don't. I also worry that we saw last week the ability to throw the football with Justin Herbert in this offense. They go out and do that again and start scoring points. They're gonna make this Raiders team one-dimensional. I'm not so sure they're gonna be able to just turn around and hand the ball off.
I think I agree with that. On the main slate, we discussed maybe your Bills could be in a situation where there's maybe a little bit of a letdown after such a huge win. Are you at all worried about the Chargers having a little bit of a letdown game after that big Friday night win over the Chiefs in Brazil? They've been trying to kind of get over that hump for a minute here. Any worries about a letdown here against a Raiders team that, it might be able to be easy to look past a little bit, especially without Bowers?
Not really. I think they understand their opportunity in front of them. They got a chance to be 2-0. I think Jim Harbaugh expects to be 2-0, and I think the team does too. They're really believing. That game, I think, just gave them confidence that, they were in those games with the Chiefs a lot over the years and just were on the losing side of it. But a lot of them were one-score games, right? They finally did it. I don't think that's their Super Bowl or that season, and they didn't seem that way after winning that game. I think they're looking at it. We got a chance to be 2-0 in the division and in a really good AFC conference. So I don't think so.
I actually think the fact that they played early helps it out a little bit too, because they were in a
Yeah.
different country. You fly home, you watch the games. It feels like there's a little bit of a reset. The Bills played on Sunday night, so it's just a little bit more immediacy, I think. And again, the island game and just the emotion of it being at home. So I think I'm with you there. Who do you think it's more of fantasy points in a PPR this week? PPR league this week? Ashton Genty and Marion Hampton.
I'm gonna go with Hampton. I'm gonna go with Hampton. I know Genty can catch the ball. I just think there's gonna be the game flow of this game to me leans more towards Hampton. I see them getting up, keeping a lead, grinding it out, and that's kind of why I'm leaning Hampton here over Genty.
I can't tell if that's just me in my head. I think it is pretty even. It depends if the Raiders are really willing to use Janty in the passing game like that in the absence of Bowers. There's no way Hampton's coming up with 10 targets or something. So if Janty's going to
No.
get that level of involvement in the passing game, I would lean that way. So I'm slightly leaning towards him, but I think in a vacuum, it's Hampton. If you just push me onto rushing yards, I think I'd definitely go Hampton. Fantasy points, especially in a PPR league, you know what I mean? He can rack up those, 5, 10 yard catches and just, have a day with it like we saw Gibbs do last week. And shout out Joe Alt moving over to left tackle, the zero pressures last week. I thought the line performed really well. That was one of our main questions about the Chargers. Raiders have a decent front four here, but if the Chargers can stand up as well to them as they did to the Chiefs, they should be able to kind of do what they want on offense, and that allows them to really kind of use the pass to set up the run, or puts Herbert in a good spot. So I think we're feeling pretty good about the Chargers there. Moving backwards into the first Monday night game, how worried are you about that Texans offense, man? The line is a mess. They remade the whole thing. They have like no weapons outside Nico Collins. Nick Chubb is doing his best out there, but I think at this point he's maybe an average NFL running back, if not, maybe a little bit below. He doesn't have any burst, but he still is very smart and instinctive runner. I don't know. On a scale of 1 to 10, man, my panic level is probably about a solid 8 for the Texans right now. How about yourself?
Yeah, and not only are we lack of reasonable options outside of Nico Collins, but even if Chubb was the Chubb of past, that offensive line, I mean, man, that's Barry Sanders would struggle behind that line right now. And I say that in jest. Don't come at me in the comments and go crazy with me, Texan fans or anybody else, Barry Sanders fans. I'm just saying the offensive line isn't opening the holes. There's not a ton of protection. They're struggling, and there's just not a lot of options for CJ Stroud here. I'm worried about Houston's offense. Their defense is good enough to where I think it can keep them in a lot of games. But man, if you got a good enough defense on the other side where you can take away Nico, it is tough sledding, I think, for Houston. They're really limited in what they can do.
Yeah, I mean, even they're down both of their depth tight ends now. You don't have Christian Kirk, who you traded for, so you're trotting Xavier Hutchinson out there with two rookies. It is rough out there, man. I'm really worried about them. Maybe that Texas defense can carry them, but I think in this game especially, if the Bucks can get 20 points, they probably win, right? I don't even know if it's more complex than I don't know the Bucks offense is great. I just have a hard time seeing the Texans score more than 24 points, absent maybe a special teams or defensive score.
Yeah, unless there's a pick six, if Baker has one of those bad Baker days, you could absolutely see it happening. But I think there's enough weapons on this Tampa Bay offense, particularly in the passing game, with what they can do utilizing the running backs and the tight ends when they want to. We saw, the emerge of Amuka last week. Dude, I just think there's enough there that we're there that they can get something done on offense to really put the pressure on, even though Houston's defense is so good. I still think they can score enough to win this game. I really like them at +2.5.
Yeah, Houston has a pair of good corners, but Mike Evans and Ngbuka are good enough that they're going to win eventually out there. I'm curious to see how this revamped Tampa Bay offensive line stands up. Still no worse, but they wound up actually, they kept it a big secret. They moved Barton, their center, out to left tackle and really kind of rejiggered the whole line. And it worked really well in week one. It's going to be a tall task for them to stand up to that Houston defensive line. But that was one of my main concerns coming into the season because Tristan Wirfs, you forget, man, he stepped in and guarded old man Brady's blind side as a rookie and never missed a beat. He is right up there in the running for best offensive lineman in the league. So missing him is one of those things that might not show up in the box score of your fantasy league, but that's a huge absence for the Bucks.
100%, man. And those are the things that we always encourage you to dig in deeper. Again, it's not the sexy position that's going to show up, but that has a massive impact. And you're right. When you start facing some elite pass rushers, it could show up more.
Yeah, I mean Baker's been a lot better over the past couple of years, but you are right. The bad Baker still exists in there. You know, what I mean, it's not quite the ghost like, but you get Sam Darnold out there, get a little bit of that in the air. You know what I mean? You start seeing the ghosts or what have you. So I'm pretty confident about the Bucks here too. I like that Texas defense a lot, but it feels like CJ Stroud's going to hit a boiling point pretty soon with that offense. You could see him starting to get upset with some of the wide receivers last week. Again, you got a couple rookies out there. What do you really expect with that line? So I think if the Bucks can be just pretty much keep doing what they're doing. They put up that 24 points. I think they're in an excellent spot to win that game. And we've got all the way backwards now into Sunday night football. What did you think about Michael Penix Jr. here? He had the whole offseason to himself as the starter this time. He didn't have Darnell Mooney, but you did have Drake London, Pitts, and Bijan out there. I know they lost the right tackle right before the season. They did a fairly good job of compensating for that. Would have liked to see more about the run game, but at least he got it to his guys, right? He got the ball to London, Bijan, and Pitts. Other Falcons quarterbacks have somehow struggled to do that. So I'd say I'm at least slightly up on him after week one. He didn't light the world on fire, but he didn't do anything where I'm taking a step back in my evaluation. How do you feel about Penix now that you've seen at least, one game of him, this new season with full prep as a starter?
I feel like it's trending upward, and I think this is going to be an offense that evolves over the course of the season and gets better and better. We know that they have the playmakers. We know he has the arm. It didn't look too big for him in limited spots last year when he played. I think that, for his first kind of start as the, second season here, officially the starter, he's not looking behind him. There's no pressure, nobody nipping at him. This is his team. I thought he looked okay, and I think this will get even better as the season goes on. I expect him to take a step every week. And I think it's definitely trending upward.
Do you think the Falcons can do enough on defense? They made the very controversial trade to give up their first round pick next year to go up, draft another defensive lineman. So they got two rookies on the line there. I mean, they got a little bit of corner, they got a safety, but I don't know, man. That defense scares me a lot. So I think the offense is just going to have to do a lot of heavy lifting unless some guys take some big steps forward I'm not seeing right now.
Well, and that's, I think, could be ultimately the downfall of this team. They're in a division that's not the best. They're in play. I think this division is wide open right now. They're in play there, but I worry this could be the Achilles heel. I just don't know. Despite the weapons, there's a lot of youth and a lot of gelling that needs to happen on this offense for them to be the thing that carries this team to victories. I just worry about this defense making them have to get into games where there's a shootout or they have to, kind of win the game on the offense side of the football. Can they? Yes. Do I love it? No. And I especially don't like it because you got, Raheem Morris here, who's supposed to be the defensive guy. I just this is one where I worry this could be the Achilles heel of this team as their defense.
Shit, the Falcons have basically been my Achilles heel for the last 2 years. I cannot get a good read on this team. It seems every time they zig, I zag. It's out of last year. They come out with huge performances out of nowhere and then lay an egg the next week. There's almost no rhyme or reason to it. They stay in a lot of games. I'll give them that. They're generally hanging around for the most part. They don't get blown out too often, but they're just a tough one to figure out. Another one that's going to be tough to figure out, I think, is JJ McCarthy. Is this just going to be the JJ McCarthy experience? It's just going to be a huge roller coaster where you have the play like you had the first 3 quarters, or then the fourth quarter, which was like one of the best fourth quarters ever played by a rookie quarterback. I mean, it's so starkly night and day that I don't know how to take anything away from it.
Well, the one thing I count on that they don't have down in Atlanta is Coach O'Connell. Let's just give him his flowers. This is a coach that every quarterback he's had, from Kirk Cousins to Sam Darnold to now JJ McCarthy, he has the ability. He's proven to get the best out of him. I think as the season goes on, this will settle. JJ McCarthy coming into the NFL was a winner. that was wise beyond his years, and people just said there's something special about him. And I believe that to be true based on what we saw. Now he's a rookie. He's going to struggle. That was a tough spot. There is going to be some inconsistencies, but I think when game's on the line, you're going to see it. He's never meant to be the guy that throws for 500 yards and 5 touchdowns. He's going to control an offense. That's who he is. That's what he's done his whole career. But I think they can get enough out of him. But I do worry that there's going to be some ups and downs, Mills, but I don't think it's going to be, Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. I think it'll even out and settle here because I think he has O'Connell, helping him kind of settle into this. That was a weird spot, Monday Night Football, going back home to Chicago, to his hometown. A little bit of a weird spot. I think, it doesn't get much easier. He's on Sunday Night Football coming this week, but I think as the season goes on, that'll settle a little bit with him.
Yeah, that's a very good point with the coaching staff. I mean, dude, remember what he did with Josh Dobbs?
Yeah,
When Josh Dobbs was like the rocket
yes.
scientist, super spaceman quarterback for like a month or whatever it was.
Dude,
2 years ago.
people got like a first round pick for him in Dynasty. I
Yeah,
mean, it
that
was
was
nuts.
super flex that got out of control for a minute there. Yeah. I
Yeah,
mean, again, probably a decent backup, but he has that kind of system that can make backups look good. And the one thing the Vikings have going for them is they're going to improve more than any other team throughout the league because they're getting their stud left tackle back and Jordan Addison back over the upcoming
yeah,
weeks. No other team gets to make those kind of additions. Like that's adding to, at least one Pro Bowl player and one very, one of probably the better secondary wide receivers in the league. So
yeah.
that's a very, very important. Again, both young guys that should grow with him. And that's all McCarthy needs to be, right? Like Kirk Cousins with moxie, like Kirk Cousins who doesn't wilt in prime time. And I think the Vikings would take that every day of the week and literally twice on Sunday.
100%. And that's why I think it's set up for success. And again, Penix probably has more, arm talent and is capable of a higher ceiling, but he lacks the coaching that McCarthy has. And McCarthy's just a gamer. He's just got that it factor with him, moxie, I guess you can call it. And he proved that on Monday Night Football.
The one thing I don't think you have to worry about is the guys in that huddle, man. After he brought them back on, that's going to solve a lot, right? They're not going to get his down on him now. They're all right. He's going to make some mistakes, but he's still got that upside that we can still win even if he makes a couple mistakes. That's huge for them psychologically, I think, both for McCarthy himself and for his teammates. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They're like, all right, this kid is, you see it in practice, that's one thing, but to see him come back and play the way he did in the fourth quarter, again, no fear. The moment wasn't too big for him. I think that's huge for especially a team that's had so much success last year, right? These guys aren't ready to take a step back.
Hell no. This is a team that's trying to win the division and get maybe even win the conference, right? So he did it after throwing a pick six. The game was pretty much over after a pick six. That's why I think for week one, talk about a locker room special here. Dude, everyone's going to believe in him now. Like that probably was the best thing that could have happened to the Minnesota team. Again, we're not crowning him. We're not having you want to crown his ass moment here. But it's week one, but I think it was really encouraging. If you're a Minnesota fan, yeah, and they're going to need him to be because look at that division now with how Green Bay looks.
Yeah, he's probably never going to be, a top end fantasy quarterback or anything like that, but they don't need him to be. That's not really what they're
No.
looking for out of him. So I would say, again, there's probably going to be a couple downs, you're right. So, maybe the progress isn't going to be just a, perfectly linear line on the graph going up there. It's probably going to be, ebb and flow a bit, but it does seem like there is some real upside to go with those, the downside, which after 3 quarters, I wasn't so sure about last week. So, yeah, it was very, very encouraging to see that. And I'm sure, again, everybody, especially Vikings fans, players, you got to be feeling pretty good, but you just don't want to get caught up in the hype too early. All right.
100%, man. Let's kick off our fantasy discussion here with the usual suspects. Mills, who are we locking into our Mills, who are we locking into our fantasy lineups? Thundergun style. No hesitation, no surrender.
No man left behind. Oh, I can't wait for the next Thundergun movie. Until then, we just have the usual suspects. Lock these guys into your fantasy lineups. For Atlanta, you have Bijan Robinson and Drake London. For Minnesota, you have Justin Jefferson and TJ Hawkinson. For the Bucks, you're playing almost all of them. Baker Mayfield, Bucky Irving, Mike Evans, Emeka Egbuka, get them all in there. For the Texans, you're pretty much down to Nico Collins and Kamini Fairbairn. Go ahead, play the kicker. That's where you're at with them. On the Chargers, you have a Marion Hampton, Lad McConkey, and Cameron Dicker. Dicker, the kicker, also getting in your lineup every week. And for the Raiders, remember, Brock Bowers is doubtful, so you're going to want to get him out of your lineups. If he's playing, he should be in your lineups, but he's not playing, so he shouldn't be in there. But that means you should have Jacoby Myers locked in there along with Ashton Genty in your starting lineups. No hesitation and no surrender. As far as streamers, I guess without Bowers, you can make the argument for maybe playing the Chargers defense if they're available in your league. They're not out there in a ton of leagues, but something you could consider. I also don't hate the Tampa Bay DST. If you're in a deeper league, they should be out there in most leagues. We saw Houston really, really struggle on offense last week. That offensive line is a mess. They could rack up a couple sacks, maybe a turnover. And if you need to stream a kicker, consider Will Reichard, the kicker for the Vikings, could be a viable streamer this week. Could be a decently high scoring game indoors, all that kind of stuff you like. Let's get into a couple of start sits here. We'll go through the players we agreed on, and then we had a couple we disagreed on. Up top, we had Michael Penix Jr. versus CJ Stroud. Again, we're assuming pretty standard fantasy scoring, 1 point PPR. We both picked Penix Jr. No real surprise here, right? We've been pretty open about our worries about CJ Stroud. So, yeah, even though that Vikings defense is pretty good, if those are my two options, I think it's Penix, right? I mean,
Yeah, I mean,
don't
just look at
overthink
the
it.
weapons. Look who he's got to throw the ball to. I just the offense is going to be better than Houston's, and he's got better weapons. So I think that's kind of a no-brainer.
Yeah, I feel bad for Stroud, but it's really
Me
tough to
too.
start him other than like your second quarterback in a super flex league where you probably have to start him. Unfortunately, I think that's where it's at right now.
In real life, I think Stroud's clearly the better quarterback. It's just this the situation and the weapons around him. It's got to go Penix.
Yeah, I mean, it's just week two. Week three could be totally different. We'll see how it goes. And then we had a Geno Smith versus the Chargers or JJ McCarthy versus the Falcons. We both picked McCarthy. Again, that comes out of the absence of Bowers, or at least it did for me. Was that your reasoning behind that? Or do you like McCarthy to maybe contribute a little bit more with his legs or something like that? Or was it really about no Bowers for Geno?
Yeah, no Bowers for Geno, and I just thought that with the weapons that McCarthy has here, that coupled with I think the Chargers defense is
Yeah,
better
better matchup for
better
McCarthy,
matchup. So
absolutely.
I just all that I think I lean McCarthy here.
Oh, and then this third one hurts a little bit. Would you rather play Kenneth Walker the third at Pittsburgh or Isaiah Pacheco versus Philly? It hurts not because we both went with Pacheco, but because I'm terrified about Kenneth Walker. If he's on your fantasy team, you probably picked him somewhere between like the fourth and sixth round. This is not what you signed up for, but it looks like he's in a legit half timeshare with Charbonnet. Steelers defense still is the Steelers defense in Pittsburgh. I know the Jets ran all over him last week, but that's a little bit different with Justin Fields kind of unlocking some of those RPOs. So that's why I went with Chaco. I think he's still the goal line back. I know they want to give it to Kareem Hunt once in a while, but he's not particularly effective in short yardage. Saw the Cowboys get a couple of short yardage touchdowns last week. So that was kind of why I landed on Pacheco. Is this more about Pacheco for you or more about just being worried about Kenneth Walker?
Well, yeah, I'm certainly worried about Kenneth Walker the third, and knowing Zach Charbonnet's nipping at the heels and taking a lot and out producing him, right, and taking a lot of his snaps. Isaiah Pacheco, the only one that's really out producing him or potentially taking snaps away from him is Patrick Mahomes. So even though I hate this matchup against Philadelphia, I think the run front's really good. I had to go Pacheco here.
Yeah, I am with you there. And then here's an interesting one. Jordan Mason, now of the Vikings against Atlanta or J.K. Dobbins at Indy. We both wound up on the Dobbins side. For me, it's just because Mason isn't involved in the passing game. We're doing this for a PPR league. If you knew he was going to get 3 or 4 catches, I would be much more interested. And again, I expect the Broncos to run a lot of the ball this week. The Dolphins actually did that decently well. The Dobbins looks to be in at least a halfway timeshare with Harvey. So it's probably not going to change anytime soon.
Yeah.
Any kind of other impressions on that, or is it just kind of again you wanted the Broncos guys that Mason's role in the passing game? Any particular reason you lean Dobbins?
Yeah, I totally agree in the passing game. We saw what Jonesy did last week in the passing game, getting the one passing touchdown there in the fourth. Where Mason was kind of used. They're going to use Mason. I like him as a player. They like him. So it wasn't necessarily split. It was also the matchup here a little bit. I can see the game flow where you get an early lead out of Denver. And then they're just, their defense is just dominating Indianapolis offense and they're just kind of grinding out, running the football here. I think J.K. Dobbins could get more looks than others. So that's kind of my logic there with Dobbins over Mason.
If you owned Dobbins and Harvey and could only start one, which one would you start?
Oh man, it should be Harvey, and it should be a freaking no-brainer. But with Sean Payton, dude, I think I'd probably go Dobbins. He trusts him. He's gonna use them. I think I'd probably go Dobbins. It should be Harvey though.
I will go Dobbins because he's insisting on giving a couple targets and snaps to Tyler Batty. If Batty was out of the mix and then it was just Harvey and Dobbins, then Harvey should be getting the targets that Batty's getting. I think I would go Harvey, but that's what's holding me back there right now. So we'll see. I mean, he's determined to make it happen. So, that's Sean Payton. He locks onto these guys and he's just determined. I'm still old enough to remember Chris Ivory and, oh God, don't even Tim Hightower flashbacks to bad fantasy playoffs. We're not going to think about that. Here's kind of an interesting one. You got Keenan Allen again on the Chargers at the Raiders, or Michael Pittman Jr. versus the Broncos. We both pick Allen. For me, Michael Pittman, Patrick Surtain, Denver defense. No, thank you. Give me Keenan Allen. Scored a touchdown last week. The end.
The end. No, 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 nothing else said about that. That's it.
We're going to full enough said there. And then here's a fun one. The two waiver wire darlings from week one. Kayshon Boutte at Miami, Quentin Johnston at the Raiders. We're both going Boutte. The Dolphins don't have a corner. I think Storm Duck is also out again this week. I don't know who they're going to have out there covering people. Their secondary consists of Mika Fitzpatrick and like literally just question marks all over the place. I don't know how that's going to work. And Boutte's shown a connection with May. And Johnson, if he catches the touchdown, great. That's who he is. He's a touchdown, boomer bust, feast or famine. He got his two last week, so I'm betting on the off week. I'm going Boutte. Any other reason you're going Boutte here? Just like saying it?
I love saying it. Great name, but to me, it was more about the volume. The Drake May's got to throw it somewhere. There's clearly a connection here. I expect him to continue to get kind of, the targets to make this happen. And I just think the matchup against Miami is really bad. Whereas with Q, great game last week. I think he's more of a best ball option for me, where he's going to have some of those huge games where he peaks, and then others where it's kind of like a Lad McConkey day or Keenan Allen. So, to me, Kayshon Boutte just felt like the alpha against a Miami's defense that's like paper thin and paper mache there on the back end.
Yeah, I'm with you there. It kind of sucks if you own Kyle Williams, especially in Dynasty. You're waiting him to happen. I think a lot of people thought he would take Boutte's job, and now it looks like he might have to wait out and take Diggs' job. So we'll see how that goes. Then we have one that I think looks pretty easy in retrospect: Jacoby Myers versus the Chargers, or George Pickens versus the Giants. Love Pickens, love the matchup, but with no Brock Bowers in here in a PPR league, just go ahead. You gotta play Myers now. I think that went from a sit start to a usual suspect because that's a big deal. He is literally going to be the focal point of the Raiders' passing game.
Yeah, another enough said. That's it. That's the reason.
Yeah, Pickens might score a touchdown or something like that, but I think we like Lamb, especially this week, to have a little bit of a bounce back. So that is what it is. And then finally, we had Kyle Pitts Sr., tight end at the Vikings, or Juwan Johnson, 2 touchdowns last week versus the 49ers. We went with Johnson. I like that even more now that knowing Darnell Mooney will be back. There's probably a couple of less targets that go to Kyle Pitts. Maybe they're going to use him a little bit better. I know Juwan Johnson's going to be wildly inconsistent, but the Saints got to throw it to somebody. He looks like he's the preferred option in the red zone. No Taysom Hill around right now. For once, it's just kind of one tight end. He's down there by himself. So that was my logic. Any other reason? Or are you still just like, nah, I'm not taking Kyle Pitts no matter what?
Yeah, I mean, it's not that. I think we saw him get some looks last week, right? I'm still not gonna give him what everyone thought he was going to be when he came into the league. It's not that, but Juwan Johnson, I think he led the fantasy world of tight ends last week. The Saints have to throw it somewhere. I'm higher on Juwan Johnson than most. And San Francisco's defense, while it's better with Rob Saleh calling plays, I still think there's some weakness there. So I just, for that reason, it's like I don't know who else they throw the football to other than Juwan Johnson. Whereas with Atlanta, I think there's a lot more options.
Yeah, and Minnesota did a good job against the tight ends for the Bears, and they have 2 pretty good ones. So
Yeah.
just, again, it's not just look at one matchup and say like, oh, they're going to shut down tight ends all year, but that's the data we have to go off of right now. So that's what we're working with. We had a couple that we disagreed on. The first one was kind of interesting because I don't know that I'm rushing to start either of those guys. You had Nick Chubb versus Tampa, who you were on, or Dylan Sampson at Baltimore, who I was on. If Judkins plays, and I think it is Chubb, they're just not going to get Chubb involved at all in the passing game. If he's not going to score a touchdown, I'm just worried he's going to get like 80 empty yards, and there's your 8 points. Sampson caught 8 balls last week. If the Browns get down and he's the dump off guy, I think he could easily rack up 5+ receptions again. So I don't know that he's going to find the end zone, but at the end of the day, I'm probably just going with him based on the reception upside. Why'd you go with Chubb?
Yeah, I just thought that Houston's defense might be able to keep this close throughout the first two, 3 quarters of the game. Nick Chubb will get his work. Whereas, honestly, dude, I could see Baltimore just absolutely running a damn train and being up like 27-3 and like at the end of like, by halftime. Maybe like I could see them just really getting out of control here. I don't know how you slow down Baltimore's offense, and I think they're pissed off coming into this week. So to me, I just don't know how much Cleveland's going to be able to play small ball and run the football. And yeah, there'll be the checkdowns and stuff, and I get that out of Flacco, and you like that. But I just for those reasons I lean Chubb here. I'm not like you said, I'm not banging the table for either one, but those were my thought. That was my thought around Chubb.
They should slow the game down. They should want to get him 20 plus carries. I just don't know that he can do anything with it. I don't expect Samson to have any success in the rushing game or score a touchdown. But again, 5 to 7 catches in a PPR league is going to get you double digit points probably. So, and I
Yep.
don't think they're going to pull him. He's a fourth round rookie pick. Even if they're down, who are they pulling him for? Kind of Raheem Sanders, I guess. They're just going to put Jerome Ford out there. Maybe I think they'd want him to play a little bit. So, all garbage time points count too. And I'm actually leaning on garbage time points for that one. Then we have the rookie matchup. You have Bashaw Tootin, rookie running back for the Jaguars, traveling to Cincinnati. Tank Bigsby is now out of the building, so he is declared back up to ETN. Or Cam Scatterboo, Giants running back at the Cowboys. You went Tootin, I went Scatterboo, which is ironic because I love Tootin. I just think it's going to be another couple of weeks before he really starts to see a bigger role, and he's probably not going to be that involved in the passing game. Scatterboo, they need to try at least punch in a touchdown with him. That's pretty much what I'm going for. Is if they get close, they give him a couple of chances to punch one in. Maybe he catches a pass or two, something like that. I'm probably not starting either, but this is the kind of choice you might be facing in a dynasty league. So I think it is interesting. You think Tootin's going to start taking a bigger role this week with ETN, or do you think this is just you're kind of banking on him maybe being the short yardage back and punching a touchdown or something?
I am. That coupled with I think that the game flow with this one, Jacksonville is going to be able to run the football. It wouldn't surprise me with Dallas passing the football, getting a big lead. I'm just not sure how much, I'm just not sure how many opportunities there's going to be in the running game for the Giants this week. So, and Cam Scatterboo, I think he should be starting and be like RB1 for that team. For some reason, they're still going to trot out Tyrone Tracy and Devin Singletary, and it's just those were the reasons why I went Tootin here.
Yeah, again, I think that's a pretty fair kind of coin flip. In a dynasty league, maybe you're starting these guys, but for the most part, unless you're in a deeper league, you're probably not getting to this one. But I thought it was an interesting exercise. And then you had the other rookie, Colson Loveland, tight end for the Bears. He's at Detroit this week, didn't do much last week. Or Evan Ingram, kind of hyped up as a free agent addition for the Broncos, traveling to face the Colts. I went with Ingram. You went with Loveland. That surprised me a little bit. I'm just going to take the volume. Loveland is still splitting with Cole Kmet to a certain extent. So that's kind of why I went the way I did, even though Ingram was a touch disappointing there. Any particular reason? You just kind of maybe, just a gut instinct on Loveland hoping for the breakout or something.
I love the Evan Ingram matchup at Indy, so this one was really tough. But I watched what Tucker Kraft, had some success against Detroit last week. Yes, Tucker Kraft went nuts on Thursday Night Football against Washington, had success there too. But I know that the Bears really love Loveland and want to involve him. They're going to run more 11 personnel. I just think they're going to incorporate him more. This was a coin flip for me, but just kind of not a whole lot of science here. I just felt like you can attack Detroit with the tight end position, and that was more so what I was going to do. Whereas with Indy, I think you can attack them everywhere, but that was kind of it for me.
The Bears offense is just a little bit wait and see for me at this point. They got
Sure.
so many options. It's really tough to narrow it down. At least Denver seems to be narrowing down the tree a little bit here. We'll see again. It wouldn't shock me at all this week if they maybe don't put so much on Bo Nix's plate and let the running back see what they can do first. But maybe that sets Ingram up for at least a touchdown or something like that.
We hope that you're down with the king because we got some Draftkings picks to help you out in these primetime showdown contests. Mills, kick us off with a couple of your options for the captain position. My captain, oh captain.
Oh, captain, my captain. On Sunday night football, don't overthink it. If you were playing in a cash game, double up head to head, 50-50, single entry tournament, small tournament, something like that. Just play Bijan Robinson at 18,000. It's pretty close between him and Jefferson. Bijan's $300 more expensive, but we saw that last week how involved Bijan Robinson is in the passing game. That just gives him a floor that Justin Jefferson doesn't seem to have right now. If you're playing in a large field tournament on Sunday night, consider putting Drake London a captain. He is definitely cheaper than Justin Jefferson by 2,100. Actually, Jefferson 17,700. Drake London's only 15,600 in your flex, and he's going to be less owned than Jefferson. He had an enormous target share last week. I know Mooney is back this week, could take away a couple of targets, but he has the potential to have an absolutely monster game at not nearly the ownership you're going to see for Justin Jefferson at captain. On the early game before Monday Night Football, again, cash game, small field tournament, single entry, something like that. Just go ahead, put Baker Mayfield in your captain spot. He's 15,900. You could be tempted by Bucky Irving, but Mayfield has really demonstrated a solid floor over the past couple of seasons. Also has significant upside here. If you are in a large field tournament, maybe take the shot on Mike Evans as your captain. He's 16,200. Yes, he has a tough matchup against the Houston corners, but we know he has that ceiling of 100 plus yards and 2 touchdowns. And he's $1,200 more than Ibuka, which is big here because that means he is going to be owned at a far, far lower percentage than Ibuka is. And we know Mike Williams can have these monster games. So large field tournament, you don't care about the floors, you're swinging for ceiling. Mike Evans is your guy. And then in the Monday night doubleheader nightcapper. Again, small field tournament, single entry, cash game double up. Don't overthink it. Play the laddie. Alad McConkey, 16,200. Certainly tempted to go with Janty at 16,500 with Bowers out. You could go back to the well. Justin Herbert's only 15K. Last week, McConkey didn't have a great game and still got you that 14 or 15 points. When it comes down to a cash game or a small tournament like that, yeah, you want to take some chance on upside, but you also want to lock in a floor, and I think McConkey offers both. And then if you're playing in a large field tournament, go ahead, play him a captain. Jacoby Myers, only 10,500 in your captain spot. Bowers is doubtful. We're assuming he is out. You can go ahead and go a couple of other ways if you wanted. I don't mind Omarion Hampton. He's only 11,700. But I think if Bowers is out, which is what we're expecting, Jacoby Myers is going to see, I don't know, 12, 15 targets, could have an absolute monster game. So I think he is the way to go at captain if you're in a large tournament.
Who are we looking at in terms of some value plays, and who are you going to spend up for outside of that captain position?
Yeah, it's a little tough on Sunday Night Football. I'm kind of digging deep here. It looks like Josh Oliver might be out for the Vikings. He got a couple of targets last week. It's either going to be Nick Van Att or Ben Urosek in there. Both are $200. I kind of probably prefer Vanek if it's one or the other, but sometimes that's where you can get a little bit of advantage of with these min-price tight ends. You hope for, I mean, really, like one catch for 20 yards or God forbid a touchdown absolutely pays it off. If that's a little bit too thin for you, you could go with Jalen Naylor. He's 4K flat. Looks like he is ahead of Thielen. We saw him have a couple of useful games for us last year. So there's worse places to go with that. In the first Monday Night Football game, I think the best value play is probably Dalton Schultz. He's 4,400. Cade Stover is now joining Brevin Jordan on IR. Dalton Schultz is literally it at tight end for the Texans. Christian Kirk's going to be out again. They got a couple rookies there. He's clearly the second banana in the passing game, so that's a nice value at 4,400. And then in the nightcapper on Monday night, going to go with the rookie wide receiver, Dante Thornton Jr. for the Raiders. He's only 4,000. Trey Tucker is right around that range. I think he's 4,400. He caught the long pass last week, so maybe a few more people will be on him. So you get to save a couple bucks and get a little bit ownership edge there on Thornton. And with Bowers out, you could also consider Michael Mayer at 3,400. I'm not sure what his role is going to be. They're obviously not going to just plug him in and give him the Brock Bowers workload, but he was a very well-regarded prospect coming out of Notre Dame. I like him a lot. Wouldn't surprise me to see him have a bad game. So there's definitely a fair amount of value on the Raiders side of the ball. And as far as if you're going to spend up outside of your captain spot, on Sunday Night Football, I think you probably want to get at least two of Bijan Robinson, Justin Jefferson, and Drake London in your lineup somehow. Outside of that, probably Jordan Mason, I guess. It depends on how you think the game's going to go, but at 6,600 here, he's a nice value play and a decent kind of, right in the middle there, not quite a full-on spend up, but also the kind of guy who's going to be about as high as you can get if you get a couple of the big guys in there. And if you are playing JJ McCarthy, I would say probably spend the extra $1,000 to get up to Aaron Jones for the correlation there. In the first Monday Night Football game, I think it's still Emeka Egbuka. He is 9,800. Ideally, you want all the kind of the Bucks big four because that offense seems to be so concentrated around those guys. Yeah, Egbuka is the cheapest of the four. He's going to be highly owned, but this is also probably the last week where he's going to be under 10K. So I think he's still underpriced a bit here. So get in while the getting's good. And then obviously Monday Night Football, if you're not playing him in your captain, Jacoby Myers at 7K flat is a no-brainer. He should be in all of your showdown contest lineups in one spot or the other if you're playing that late game on Monday night. And if he's not your captain or if he's in there, your captain, you need a value play. Omarion Hampton is only 7,800 in your flex, and I think that is a fine way to go. And let's just do a little pack and a stack in the back of the act real quick. Just give you a couple of mini stacks to help you start building out your lineups. On Sunday night, if you throw Drake London in a captain at 15-6, you can add TJ Hawkinson at 6-2, JJ McCarthy at 9-4, and Aaron Jones Sr. at 7,600. I'll give you some nice correlation there with Drake London at captain. You have about 5,600 per player left if you go that way. On Monday Night Football, if you put Mike Evans in a captain at 16-2, you can also add Bucky Irving at 11-2, Nico Collins at 11-4, Dalton Schultz at 4,400. Leaves you about 6,800 to play with, and you got a lot of upside in your lineup there. And then on Monday Night Football in the nightcapper, Jacoby Myers, the captain, costs you 10-5. Then you can add in Lad McConkey at 10-8, Omarion Hampton at 7-8, and Dante Thornton at 4,000 flat. That leaves you almost 8,500 per player left, which lets you do a lot. So that one might have the most flexibility of the three games. Certainly some interesting options. So good luck to you on DK this week, and may you take down the king so you can be down with the king and have some king size money.
That sounds like a win. And we want money, lots and lots of money. So get ready to bet it, bank it, blow it. It is time to close out week 2 with a bang and put us in prime position to make those big bucks heading into week 3. Where do we want to kick things off here, Mills?
First, just remind you once again, the odds are from the DraftKings Sportsbook. Everything is accurate as of Friday, September 12th, 2025. And here on Bet It, Bank, and Blow It, our preferred currency is the Cricket coin. So all wagers will be in the form of Cricket coins. In Cricket, we trust. Jamie G, we're going to start out with our golden grab bag. These are basically all of our wagers except our favorite single wager from each game. Last week on the late slate here, Sunday, Monday Night Football, you wound up taking a loss of about 36 Cricket coins. You went 2 for 4. You hit the James Cook anytime and your Buffalo plus 3.5, but you missed on DeAndre Swift 60 plus rushing yards and the under 43.5 in that Minnesota at Chicago game. What do you have this week for us? We got 2 Monday night games. We got the Sunday night game, 3 games on the menu, man. Fill up the golden grab bag.
Yeah, man, let's try to have a better week this week here. I'm gonna go. I got 4 again that I really like. First off, I'm gonna put 100 cricket coins on Bijan Robinson over 26.5 receiving yards. We saw him do it last week. I think he does it again. Those short passing game to Bijan, he can bust that off. He really, his skill set, he can do it in one catch, honestly. So that's minus 110. 100 cricket coins there to win 190 and 90 cent there on the cricket coins coming back. I think Bijan Robinson, the offense needs to go through him. So 100 cricket coins to win 190. And then I'm putting 100 cricket coins on Baker Mayfield under 235.5 passing yards. The defense is very good. They're going to find a way to win this game, but I expect it to be a closer, small ball, lower scoring affair here. So 100 cricket coins on Baker Mayfield under 235.5 passing yards, minus 111. 100 cricket coins there to win back 190. And then I'm going to put 100 cricket coins on the Rook, Omarion Hampton, over 56.5 rushing yards. I expect this to be a little bit of a breakout game for him. Not saying he's going to rush for 150 or anything, but I think he gets there, man. Over 56.5. It's minus 113. 100 cricket coins to win 188. I think they get up and get up early, and I think they grind it, and they utilize Hampton here to do so. So loving this one. 100 cricket coins to win 188. And then last but certainly not least, I'm putting 100 cricket coins on the Chargers money line against the Raiders, minus 185. 100 cricket coins there to win 154.
Definitely a fan of a couple of those. Let's move on. Sometimes you like to just tease it a little bit. You don't want to go the whole thing. It's not just the tip, but you know my tease. All right, Jamie G, we got a 3-game menu here, so a couple more options. What's your favorite teaser for this week?
Yeah, and just to point out, DraftKings last season, they would allow us to do a 6-point two-leg teaser at minus 120 odds. There's only one sports book available in the country that in America that allows you to have that anymore. We're getting our odds from DraftKings. They don't. So a 2-point six-leg teaser is now minus 135. Still okay, but I've got a 3-leg 6-point teaser this week that Mills, I am chomping at the bit at. I absolutely love this. Leg 1, I've got Atlanta teased up 6 points to plus 9.5 at Minnesota. Really feeling that. I got Tampa Bay teased up at Houston, 6 points to +8.5. So Atlanta +9.5, Tampa Bay +8.5. And then I got that Chargers Raiders game over 40.5 points. Again, I teased it down there, 6 points. So over 40.5 points. 100 cricket coins to win 240. It's +140 odds on those three. Really feeling this three leg 6 point teaser.
All right, you sound like a man who knows his way around the teas, and I am a man who knows his way around degeneracy. But it's not an instant process. There are degrees to degeneracy. In fact, there are 3 degrees of degeneracy. Last week, I had 3 wagers here for the 3 degrees of degeneracy. I wound up about 92 coins. I hit on the Keon Coleman 5+ receptions bet, but I missed on Justin Jefferson 90+ yards and DeAndre Swift 2+ anytime touchdown scorer. Got 3 again here. Going to start out with the flounder in honor of our guy from Animal House. If you're new to degeneracy, you want to start out slow. So we're going to put 100 cricket coins on O'Marion Hampton over 13.5 carries. That is -118. So your 100 coins will bring back about 185 if he gets 14 or more carries. Next up, we're going to go with the Barney Gumble, our favorite drunk down at Moe's. You are functionally degenerate. You got a couple bucks, but you're always chasing the next thing, trying to pay off that tab. We're going to throw 50 cricket coins on Mike Evans, anytime touchdown scorer. That is +140. So 50 cricket coins to bring back 120 cricket coins. And then finally, we have the rickety cricket. You're literally living under a bridge with dogs, returning bottles to try and get enough coins together to do something to get out from under the bridge. So I got 25 coins and putting on JJ McCarthy, 3+ passing touchdowns. That's +446. So 25 coins to bring home about 137. Why not? He almost did all that in the fourth quarter last week. Why not just, if he plays that way for a whole game, he should have like 12 touchdowns. So this should be easy. That's how math works, right? I'm pretty sure that's how math works, but maybe not, because I am a degenerate and I have been to a couple of parties over the years. Parties are fun, but the best kind of party is a parlay party. We have parlays. We know how to use them, or at least we think we do. Last week, Jamie G, you offered one parlay up to the party. It was a 4-legger. You had 100 coins on it. You hit on the Derrick Henry 100+ rushing yards, but you missed on Lamar Jackson 300+ passing yards, DeAndre Swift 80 combined yards, and the under 46.5, the alt total in that Minnesota-Chicago game. So you're down 100 on the year. And this week, we're switching it up a little bit. We're going to go together. We have combined our powers to do a collaborative 4-leg SGPX parlay. This means you can basically parlay a single game parlay with other parlays, even other single game parlays, which is maximum degeneracy. So we absolutely love it. This is a 4-legger at +475. We're just basically taking a few of our greatest hits here. Leg number 1, we have Bijan Robinson over 26.5 receiving yards at -110. That correlates nicely with leg number 2, Bijan Robinson over 3.5 receptions. That is -123. Then we're going to throw in the O'Marion Hampton over 56.5 rushing yards, -113. And then we're going to cap it off leg number 4. We're just going to take the Chargers money line -185 at the Raiders. So that's 100 coins at +475. So when we take this one down, bring it back 575 coins. And with that, we can throw a pretty good party.
Yes, we can. Love that one, Mills. And look, parlays, they're hard to hit, right? And that the book wants you playing them because most of the time we lose. So that's pace yourself on these. Make sure that you're making good decisions and just throwing a little bit of bankroll on them. That's all.
Yeah, it's a party favor. It should not be something that you're like building your house around. It should be the thing you do for fun.
100%. We close out every episode with a visit to the Golden Goose. No, that's not the convenience store up on Route 39. It's where we get those golden eggs that y'all love so much. Mills, how did we do last week? And give us your Golden Goose wager for Sunday Night Football.
We did well last week as a unit. I was up about 171 coins. I went 2 for 2. I had Derrick Henry 85+ rushing yards and the JJ McCarthy 1+ interception. And Jamie G, you're also 2 for 2. You wound up about 429 coins. You hit the Derrick Henry 2+ anytime touchdown scorer and the JJ McCarthy under 220.5 yards. So those were some good eggs. Let's keep it going here. I'm up first for Sunday Night Football. I'm going to put my 250 cricket coins on Bijan Robinson Robinson over 3.5 receptions, minus 123, 250 to bring back about 453. We've talked about it a lot here. I don't know if he's going to be as involved as he was last week, but over 3.5 receptions seems almost like a no-brainer here. I hate that famous last words, knock it on wood. Don't want to jinx it, but feel very, very good about it. Jamie G, how about yourself? Give us your Sunday night wager and then your first Monday night wager for the early game.
Yeah, really like that one, Mills. I'm doing my Sunday night wager. I'm gonna put 250 cricket coins on Atlanta plus 5.5 here with the alternate spread. At Minnesota, it's minus 150. I think this game comes down to a field goal. I like Atlanta that they might outright win this one. So plus 5.5 here for me. I'm feeling it minus 150, 250 cricket coins to win 416. For Monday Night Football, Mills, I'm going to put 250 cricket coins on Tampa Bay first half plus 3.5. That's an alternate spread. It's minus 161. I like for them to be in a close ball game here. Love having that 3.5 number. And that 250 cricket coins will win back $405.28.
Okay. I am going to stick with Tampa Bay as well for my first Monday Night Football wager here in the early game. I'm going to put my 250 cricket coins on Baker Mayfield over 1.5 passing touchdowns. That is plus 109, so 250 coins to bring home about 522 coins. It's kind of tough here. He could easily throw for 3 or 4 touchdowns. Just don't really trust the rushing game as much. It seems like when they cash it in the end zone, more often than not, it's off the arm of Baker Mayfield. Not even asking for 3 here, just the over 1.5. So just 2 touchdowns, Baker. I think you can handle that even against that defense. And honestly, it's such a good defensive front. I think they're going to be forced to put the ball in the air for the most part. So feeling good about that one. And then on the second Monday night game, I'm just going to rebang that Omarion Hampton over 13.5 rushing attempts wager because I absolutely love it. That is minus 118. So 250 coins to bring back about 462. Again, I don't think all of a sudden they're going to be rushing out to give Najee Harris more work. If they can get off to a positive game script here, I think he is easily going to get 14 or more carries. Jamie G, close us out here, man. Final Monday night game, Chargers Raiders. What you got here, man? Well, what's the big boy bat? What's the golden egg?
250 cricket coins on Justin Herbert over 1.5 passing touchdowns. Yes, Hampton could steal some of those, but honestly, man, they're loaded at wide receiver, especially down in the red zone. We saw, Quentin Johnson get 2 last week. Lad McConkey, he's due. Keenan Allen's likely to get 1. I just need 2 total. Give me over 1.5 passing touchdowns for Justin Herbert. It's minus 119. 250 cricket coins there to win back 460 cricket coins.
I'm feeling you there. It wouldn't surprise me at all for Herbert to have another multiple touchdown game. In fact, now I have a dynasty league where I own Drake May, Jaden Daniels, and Herbert. It's only a 1 quarterback league, and I am now regretting probably for the first time ever starting Jaden Daniels since I drafted him. So we'll see. Maybe a little buyer's remorse there, but wouldn't surprise me at all to see Herbert rip it up again this week.
Absolutely. This is going to be an exciting prime time for week 2. We appreciate you guys being with us. Pace yourself. Remember, it's just week 2. Always manage your bankroll. Make sure you like and subscribe so you don't miss this. It shows up in your feed. We'll be breaking down the results as we head into week 3. We promise you we will always be transparent and we will always be here for you each and every week. Let us know if you like one of our picks. Let us know if you're tailing. And if you got something juicy, man, share it with us. We love it. Maybe we'll tail you and we'll celebrate together. Appreciate you guys. Let us know what you're doing. Drop a comment below or follow us on our social media. Mills will let you know where you can find us.
You can find Seize the Gap Fantasy Football wherever you get your podcasts and on YouTube. Find us on social media at Seize the Gap FF and on the web at seizethegapff.com. Very simple and easy to remember, just like the flaps, FLAPS. Follow, like, and please subscribe. If you had fun, please don't forget the thumb. I'm Magnum Mills. He's Jamie G. Please remember, you have to seize the gap and stop being so inefficient.
And we don't care if you're old. Seize the gap.